How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We are looking at NAT today because they were actually up on the day, and I want to provide some clarity on that as best as I can. I know a lot of people follow me just for NAT, so I want to be able to help however I can. And that being said, some of the other tanker stocks were up today too, so if you're invested in STNG or DHT, stay through to the end too, because I'm going to be talking about them. And before we get into it, if you guys don't mind hitting the like button, it really does help out the channel. And if you have watched these videos before but you aren't subscribed, please hit subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you've already seen a couple of the videos, then you're probably going to see more, because I'm going to keep on pushing them and making more of them. And YouTube's going to continue to refer you to these videos. So I really appreciate it. And we'll get right into it here. So as you can see here, NAT stock had a pretty good day today. They're up about 5%, and over the month it's been down because we were up over $5. But you were able to get in pretty low at one point, almost $4 a share. So it's a decent value now for where it's been in the past. I mean, just a couple months ago it was at $9. And this is a very difficult stock because so many people feel so strongly about it. Some people hate it, some people love it, some people think it's overvalued, some people think it's going to skyrocket to $9 or $15 a share. We also have DHT that was up 2.5% on the day, down just a little bit after hours, but it shot up pretty well throughout the day, as you can see here. So did STNG, so they were down a little bit and then went up. And the whole market kind of ticked up towards the end of the day, but these tankers were up for most of the day, honestly. They did quite well throughout the entire day, with NAT actually just ticking up more throughout the day. But there is some slight news. Some people have kind of alluded to this, but it's very hard to find. So someone had put this in one of my videos, this Potent and Partners daily briefing. So they do this pretty much daily, I believe, and this is a company that's apparently been in the shipping sector for a while. I don't know where they get these numbers from, but as you can see here, the spot TCE earnings from Monday were 15,000, and as of yesterday they were 13,000. So this is for dirty tankers, so not like the clean tankers that have scrubbers. And I'm unsure about where they got these numbers, like I said, but if we look at NAT from just last week, the spot tanker rates were about 10,000. So this is actually for the last 2 weeks, they were around 10,000. So now we're seeing 14,000-ish. So it looks like they're starting to tick up a little bit. That is a small amount, I understand, but it's big enough percentage-wise that it's caused, I think, some eyes to go on the stock, and that is really what I see as moving the stock. I mean, it's hard to tell because no one has really produced any articles on it, but we see the stock going up over time. Now, I will say there are a ton of reasons that the stock could go up. A lot of it is based on oil production and oil demand and oil supply and all that, which is slowly starting to tick up oil demand in the US because companies are starting to reopen and starting to increase production again. But hopefully it continues to increase. Hopefully the supply continues to increase. I know that OPEC is coming back soon, and they only have so long until they have to decide whether they want to continue to have their production cut down. So right now they're holding it at a very low level because there was so much supply of oil that back when the virus hit and the pandemic was happening, we had the negative oil price environment where people were actually getting paid to take oil, which was horrible for these oil companies, but it was great for companies like Nordic American Tanker and some of these other oil tankers that could really just could make a lot of money from storing oil. Now, their bread and butter is really transferring oil for the most part. So hopefully the oil producers start ramping up production so that companies like Nordic American Tanker can really start supplying the transportation for this. So a lot of countries need to open back up and need to get oil again. So hopefully NAT can accommodate that. Now, we will see this oil tanker index, the new weekly amount, come out this Friday. So this is what I've been using every week to determine the spot tanker rates, as opposed to these Potent Partners daily briefings. So this will be an average of the week. Hopefully we see that increase this week Friday. We'll see if that has translated into this report. Hopefully it does, because that means in the future we might be able to use this Potent and Partner other report to kind of inform us before we get this tanker market index report. So whether you are looking at NAT or not, I think that now is an interesting point, because we do know that the stock is highly shorted. So we know for a fact that if it goes up, that the short sellers will have to cover their short. So a lot of people are betting against the stock, thinking it will go down in price, because it was a $1.80 stock just a year ago or so. So a lot of people have bet against it because it's been going up so much. So if the stock price starts to go up after a couple good days like today, people are going to have to buy back into the stock and cover their shorts, and then other people are going to pile in. So like I've preached time and again, if the earnings report is really good and every other earnings report is terrible, it could cause the stock to jump up in price, especially if, let's say, OPEC decides that they want to increase production of oil, or increase the supply of oil, and they're okay with maybe getting lower amounts and lower rates, then that could cause companies like NAT to drastically increase in value and be able to drive the business going forward. So if we have some good news for the Ford report, or the Ford earnings, in addition to great earnings right now and people being able to get great dividends, like right now there's a 20-cent dividend, and this was declared months ago. So actually, if we look here, I don't know if it will still be on here. The dividend was declared a very long time ago. So it was declared, I think, in Q1 or just at the beginning of Q2, for the end of Q2, and it was reported a 20-cent dividend. So yes, actually it's declared 5.20, and we could see that just a couple months in, they were already declaring this dividend, which it was only about halfway through Q2. So it was a good sign that if they declare a 20-cent dividend, that they were going to be earning lots of money. And just a reminder too, these are the spot tanker rates for one day for the new amounts that they're getting. And they had contracts before that were very long-term, very highly profitable contracts. So even if they're only making $10,000 a day right now, it's not necessarily that they are only getting $10,000 for each day going forward. They have those other contracts, so they still might be able to benefit from those contracts right now. So they are probably going to end up making a ton of money for this last quarter, and even like the last couple, maybe even the last month when they've had these lower rates, they still are making some of that money from the old contracts. And again, when we look at end of Q2 and when they report earnings for Q2, so later August, that's going to be when spot tanker rates start increasing anyway. So as we can see here, and as I pointed out, typically in August we start seeing rates go up, and then they go up really high in the late fall and the early winter, and then they die back down all around January and February to the lowest rates back in April and May. So that will be interesting if we get OPEC to increase production, great earnings, spot tanker rates are going up, great dividends are being declared, so like a 20% dividend yield right now for NAT. It will be interesting to see how that all culminates together and drives the stock price up, and with the addition of the shorts jumping back in on the stock, I think that we could see a very good price increase. Now, I'm not saying that you should go and invest all your money in the stock. If you have been kind of holding out up until this point, you really have to evaluate whether you want to be in it. I know a lot of people that bought in, and as soon as it dropped down, they sold out because they bought in when it was $7, $8 a share. A A lot of them are saying don't jump in, and some of them are doing that for good reason. Some of them are just doing it because they lost a lot of money in the stock. So you really have to look at this going forward. Would you be okay with losing the money? Because this is more of a speculation play. Over time, NAT is not really worth $4 or $5 a share, but right now, depending on their earnings, it could inflate the price even higher. So I personally just have a small portion of my portfolio in NAT and DHT, STNG, but if you feel comfortable investing in it, knowing that it's a speculation play, especially NAT compared to those other tankers, I say maybe it's a good idea. But do your own research. Make sure that you look into it yourself and don't rely on me. I'm not a financial advisor or anything. Make sure you do your own research. And also, if you don't mind hitting the like button, it really does help out the channel. If you guys want some free stocks, I do have links down to WeBull and M1 Finance. If you sign up with WeBull, you get 2 free stocks, one worth up to $1,400. And M1 Finance is my main investing account. I just became an affiliate with them, so if you do want to start up an account with them, it really helps me out, it helps out the channel, so I appreciate that too. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments below. I'd be interested in hearing what you think about this and about the price going up today, why you think it went up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.